Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be taking part in the Friday Night Magic at Home Historic Artisan event. As you've maybe noticed, this event's probably ended a long time ago, but I have a nice backlog of videos for you guys in this format. I know you guys do enjoy Historic Artisan quite a lot, and I certainly have a hell of a lot of fun in it as well, so, you know, why not record in bulk for this event, even though it's only 24 hours? I shall stretch it out for more for you guys to enjoy. Today we're going to be playing around with a deck I've played in the past, but have since updated. It hasn't changed too much all in all, but it is still very much a fun one. It's a green, black, splash white reanimation list. So Historic Artisan is only for uncommons and commons, which means you don't really have too many great options as far as big reanimation targets are concerned. But what you do have is Godzillas. Godzillas galore. These are the biggest creatures you can probably churn out that are actually decent in Artisan, and they are very effective as well. So Godzilla, aka Titanoth Rex. I guess I can Godzilla up for you and show you the alternative arts. If you're curious, it's this one right here. If you don't have the Godzilla arts, I prefer to Godzilla theme this one up, so here we are. Whenever you cycle Titanoth Rex, you put a trample counter on a target creature you control. The cycling means that we can actually, from our hand, put this card into our graveyard. It's something that reanimation lists struggle with a little bit, and they have to build their deck a little bit around it by, you know, having the draw and discard effects available to them. We don't really have to do that with our reanimation targets because they'll put themselves into the graveyard as well as recycling themselves as well, so we can get better chances of finding extra land drops and reanimation spells to bring them back. We also have Space Godzilla, Void Invader, also with a name that's less than savory. If you guys look up this one, I believe the name for it is Space Godzilla Death Corona, I think is its last... It's its official name, to be fair, so they didn't do wrong by naming it that, but it came at a wrong time, let's just say that much. But yeah, Space Godzilla Void Invader is an 8/8 Death Touching with cycling 3, and when you cycle this one, you get to put a Death Touch counter on a creature you control. The upside about these is you can actually keep them in your hand and use them as combat tricks as well. So if I was to swing in with something like my Stitcher Supplier, which I use to mill over the big creatures into my graveyard, and our opponent blocked a Stitcher Supplier, I could actually cycle Space Godzilla and give Stitcher Supplier Death Touch and take care of a very large creature that they didn't think was actually going to be a trade. The same thing can kind of go for Godzilla's Titanoth Rex as well, giving Trample. Means I can block with, or attack with a big creature, let's say Void Beckoner. I can attack with this 8/8. They can block singularly, thinking all that damage is going to be prevented, and then I can cycle the Titanoth Rex, giving it Trample. Trample and Death Touch means only one damage has to be dealt to the blocking creature, and the rest can be carried over, which is really nice. So I can actually give Titanoth Rex Death Touch for the same effect, so swinging in with 11, our opponent can block for damage. Let's say they block with 3 creatures or something like that, covering the 11/11. I can cycle to give Death Touch to the Titanoth Rex, and then only 3 damage is required to kill all 3 creatures, and the rest is carried over. So you can really make some sketchy combat math for your opponent, which is a lot of fun when it comes to cycling payoffs and big creature reanimation payoffs. We also have 2 Sheffet monitors in here as well, just to cycle and fix our mana base a little bit as well. You can put some 6/5s into the graveyard. They're not too powerful, but because you can cycle them for 4 and actually ramp, putting a land or desert onto the battlefield untapped, unless otherwise stated, which we don't have deserts in here. We only have untapped lands. There isn't actually a dual land desert that you can really get with this that matters, for the record, so it's only going to get you basics. You can put it into play untapped, so we can, on turn 4, for example, cycle this, get a black land, play a Stitcher Supplier, Fatal Push, Blood Chief's Thirst, whatever we want to do in that sense, and still carry on. As far as our reanimation's concerned, we have Unburial Rites. This is the reason for our white splash. So normally it is a 5-mana sorcery that returns a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. However, if it's in the graveyard, then you get to cycle it, flash it back for for 3 and a white, which means it's a 4-mana reanimation spell, and this also counts as 2 reanimations for you as well. So you can play the one out of your hand to get back Godzilla. If it dies, you know that next turn you've got this flashback ready to go. We also have 2 copies of Bond of Revival. This one is a really nice gotcha card. It's a 5-mana reanimation, and it actually gives the creature haste until the end of the turn. So if your opponent thinks you're just going to reanimate a big creature and they need to hold up and sorcery speed removal, for example, you can kind of get them out of nowhere by just hasting an 11/11 at them, and they usually won't worry about having blockers for a big card like that if they know you're just going to bring back one creature, which is why this is really useful just to have as a little bit of a side tool to just get your opponent out of nowhere with random hasting. And then finally we got Blood for Bones, a 4-mana sorcery. This one comes with an additional cost to sacrifice a creature, so there is a little bit of a price to it. But then you get to return a creature from your graveyard to the battlefield, and then return another creature from your graveyard to your hand, which you can include the creature that you sacrificed in the first place. So we can reanimate our big creature, and then we can get back a Ravenous Chupacabra, or we can get back more Mill, or a 3/1, which makes them very good at defending. Anything like that is also very useful as well. In the late game, if we're getting to the point where we can hardcast these cards as well, you might want to just use your Blood for Bones to reanimate a big one and then bring back another big one as well, so you can hardcast these instead of reanimating them. That's another way that you can kind of do a pseudo Unburial Rites with your Blood for Bones, which is really nice as well. This essentially counts as 2 reanimations over 2 turns in that same sense. Other than that, though, our removal of choice is 2 Fatal Pushes and 3 Blood Chief's Thirst. We probably want to be taking care of big creatures and Death Touchers and things like that, so these are really low to the ground removal spells. Blood Chief's Thirst just has that added bonus of being able to go a little bit higher, taking care of planeswalkers as well as big creatures with no CMC requirements whatsoever. So while we do have a little bit of conditional removal, we have a ways of using this as non-conditional removal as well for 4 mana, which is nice. Stitcher's Supplier, as we mentioned, is a good way to mill, as is Skull Prophet, with the activated ability to mill 2 cards, as well as being a mana dock as well, to get to an early reanimation spell. Glowspore Shaman is a way of hitting our land drops consistently, while also being a nice 3/1 that can get some nice value in, nice aggression in the early game, making sure that Godzilla's 11 hasty damage is enough to kill your opponent, for example. This one mills 3 cards and then allows you to put a land from your graveyard on top of your library, so if you do need that land drop next turn, then you can use your Glowspore Shaman to do that, as obviously 40% of our deck is typically lands, so, you know, of those 3, there's a pretty good odds that you'll get the land drop that you need at that point as well, which is nice. Finally, we got 2 copies of Blossoming Defense. On turn 6 or turn 5 with Unburial Rites, we can actually reanimate our big creatures. We don't have to worry too much about removal if we have a Blossoming Defense in our hand, because it'll give them +2/+2 and hexproof, meaning that our opponent needs multiple removal spells to take care of our big Godzillas. And yeah, it's pretty good for that. It's only 2 copies though, because there isn't too much to protect other than big space Godzillas at that point. But, you know, if you've got one, it's nice. If you don't, you probably don't need it all too much. The mana base is a little bit sketchy, I won't lie. I've played the games today, and it probably needs improvement. But it just makes sure that we can actually cast the things that we need to cast. So we've got lots of tap lands. Jungle Hollow, Blossoming Sands, and Scoured Barrens. You could probably go down a few of these, in all honesty. Evolving Wilds grabs a single plains for your Unburial Rites. Otherwise, you're pretty much just strictly Golgari. So you could actually go down the Blossoming Sands and the Scoured Barrens and hope that Evolving Wilds gets you there, using this to immediately grab plains if you really want to. But I think you probably want at least, well, at a bare minimum, I'd probably cut a Blossoming Sands for another forest, I think, at this point. But the gameplay should speak for itself as to what you should do on that one. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy anyway. If you do, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. It lets me know what kind of content you're interested in seeing. And I will always bring back the content you guys enjoy. And I know Historic Artisan is definitely up there. But if you're a bit tired of it and you don't want to watch it, well, that doesn't please the algorithm gremlins. So I need you to please them. If you don't please them, videos don't come back. So hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment down below. All that will help you support the formats you love and allow me to continue making content for them. Hope you enjoy the gameplay, guys, and have a good day. This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button down below, or check out the Patreon link in the description. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Okay, we're on the draw. We've got our 1 planes in hand, which makes our hand unplayable. It's the reason why I only have 1 planes in my hand. In my deck, sorry. So we're going to hit the mull on this one, because I don't think we can afford to risk not drawing a green land for 1. And until turn 4, not drawing a green source is also quite miserable. So we're going to throw this one on back. This is... yeah, it's fine. It's basically some redraws. I'm okay with redraws. I'll put the Sheffield monitor to the bottom. So it's going to be turn 2, cycle Godzilla in, and then hope that our follow-ups are okay. I'll thin the deck. I don't want to draw too many more lands. Grab a green source. Dismal Backwater has me very worried. This is very likely to be one of our bad matchups. Thought Erasure, couldn't care less. Takes the Bonder Revival, makes sense. Ravenous Choop, and we'll just cycle away the Godzilla. Probably shouldn't cycle it away, in case our opponent goes for another Thought Erasure, but here we are. Let's see, we do need 3 mana for the Space Godzilla cycle, so we'll just do that. Opponent knows about it as well. There they go with the Thought Erasures, so they can't really take anything that matters here. So I'm just going to let them help themselves. Unburial Rites getting taken here just means that if I draw a planes off the top, then I have myself a free reanimation. No, probably not now. Now they'll have counter magic. Stitcher's Supplier. Okay, so we're going to go with our white source, play Stitcher's Supplier. Mill some more stuff over. Opponent helps me mill more stuff over. Don't know about that one, Chief. And we've got the untapped land so we can play around Censor. I don't know if we want to play around Censor. I might just, like, drop down a Ravenous Chupacabra, to be honest. They don't have hard counters. We know that for sure. I was expecting, like, a Didn't Say Please or a Neutralize, to be honest. Hence why I didn't get an 11-11 out. Well, let's swing for 2. One's doing nothing. This format's so weird. Whenever I think I'm gonna lose, weird things start happening. Now do you have the counterspell? Nope. Heartless Act. Playing the one out of the graveyard that they know about. Because this one's worth 2 if they don't know about it. Okay, so the Cry of the Carnariuming. I've got spare Godzillas anyway, so even if they were to kill Godzilla, he's not legendary. Poor Godzilla. I can just get another one. This one has Blossoming Defense Protection from their final card here, which looks to be removal because they're hovering it so hardcore right now. Tyrant Scorn. I almost want to let that go, but I'm not gonna. Because if they don't draw a land here, they're in a... if they don't draw removal here, sorry, they're in a lot of trouble. I guess if their whole deck is removal, then it's still pretty bad, but we'll see. Hit you for 11? Dispersal. Okay, so I'm just going to put Bloodchief's Thirst into the graveyard, I think, here. And then I'm just going to reanimate a... I mean, I could cycle Godzilla. 3, 6... but I think I'm just going to actually go for an 8-8 here instead. I might be at hard cast Godzilla territory. But I went for Discovery instead of Dispersal again. Have they decided that what happened last time wasn't really worth it for them? Yeah, I'm just going to kind of keep hard casting Godzillas on the mind. And then Reanimations maybe as a side thought. So our opponent had the answer there. As we mentioned, we're at 6. We need to be at 8. So I'm just going to play a Chupacabra, which is a threat in itself. Plan on cracking Evolving Wilds on the end step. Prevents us from drawing lands as likely, but we still need to... Still need to go hunting. Maybe I should have grabbed a swamp there. I don't think it really matters. Hit you for 2. Opponent needs some card advantage and they need it quick. Skull Prophet. Another threat. Tyrant Scorn. Alright. Disinformation campaign? Oh no. Do you cycle here? I'm going to be discarding either way, so the only reason I'd want to cycle is to... Actually, I don't think there's any reason. There's actually no reason. You could call, like, Bloodchief's Thirst and Fatal Push dead cards, I suppose. There's their card advantage. Alright, so they might want to look for a Surveiller so that they can keep their campaign going. So this is just typical blue-black control. We almost got there, to be honest, as far as winning's concerned. Thought Erasure is really bad for them. Alright, well, let's make sure that Narset doesn't do anything. Let's play another 3-1. So they can Thought Erasure just to bring back the campaign, redraw with it. They're looking for Cry the Carnarium, I would imagine, at this point. Jungle Hollow's not great. So I could hit them for 5. But I believe that hitting Narset's just better, because I can't cycle when I want to. If it's... Well, actually, I'm not even going to cycle at all. I'm just going to hard cast every single creature at this point. Yeah, so it's just empty our hand. I was thinking the clock doesn't change all that much if I just turn 1 at Narset so that we can cycle on our own turn, but if I got something like a big Godzilla, I would just, you know, throw it under the bus anyway. Alright, send this at our opponent. Offer a trade with the Predator. Not going to take it just yet. That's acceptable. This card is exceptionally irritating. And basically their way of winning the game, in all honesty. This looks like they've got Cry the Carnarium. Yeah. Fatal Pushing in response doesn't do anything there. Am I seriously? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm not at Godzilla range? That sucks. Alright. Yeah, the way that Cry the Carnarium is worded, it says if a creature would die this turn, exile it instead. So if I killed mine in response to the card the Cry the Carnarium resolving, it would just exile it out of my graveyard instead. Alright. Now I will play Godzilla. And we'll see what happens to it. So far, so good. Although deep in thought, and that worries me. They're going to have 3 cards. Only one of them needs to be removal, because it seems like they've got very good removal. Alright, replace his Narset. 4 cards deep for the Eldest Reborn. That's very bad for us. That means we lose our Godzilla and they get to take one of ours. Yeah, I think they've stabilized now. I don't think we can win. Maybe if they swing here and we draw a Bond of Revival. Oh! No way. Oh my god, a one-of in my deck. No. This is a good day to play Magic, I'm not gonna lie. This is a great day to play Magic. Oh, I'm having all the luck. I really am. My matchups seem quite pleasant. My bad matchups, I'm just unbelievably lucky and beat them anyway. Jeez. I keep taking bad hands as well and they fix themselves. This is how you get onto the Pro Tour, I think. You need luck like this. Because I'm not lucky enough to play Magic the Gathering at a professional level. I've accepted that. But good lord, if I could do this every day, you'd see me on the Pro Tour. I'd be right next to LSV, shaking his hand, maybe. I don't know. Social distancing, all that. I'd probably give him an elbow pat, something like that. But, yeah, anyway. Anyway, let's go to the next game. Alright, let's have a look. We have a pretty slow hand. It's too full of tap lands for my liking, I think, so we're going to hit the mull on this one. Wow. Okay. Well, we're on the draw. Got a Blood for Bones, a way to mill. Yeah, I guess so. This is the jank I've signed up for. Hopefully we'll draw a land off the top. We didn't. Good start. Alright, so let's crack this for a black source so we can stitch a supplier. If we drop a green off the top as well, we might go on to go for the Skull Prophet over that. Alright, well, this hand's starting to come back a little bit. So we don't have anything in the yard just yet, so we are still going to have to go for the Stitcher Supplier. If we draw another land, we could even chef it Monitor for a bit of ramp. I don't hate that too much. Burial Rites. Yeah, I'm just going to thin the deck, I think. Should have gone for a cracked Evolving Wilds first, though. As it turns out, that would have been lovely. Let's grab our Plains. And then we'll pass the turn, plan on milling with Skull Prophet. Beanstalk Giant. So what our opponent's doing looks to just be like a big green stompy list. Which makes our Chupacabras quite nice. Makes our 11/11s not look all that fancy. Let's mill. Come on. Give me a good card. Nope. Fatal Push. So, I have nothing in here, right? Absolutely nothing. I might want to just push the Tangled Florahedron 4, 5, 6, 7. Without a land drop, they can't play Beanstalk Giants. I'm not really doing anything else. This puts them... Oh, this puts them onto the battlefield untapped. So actually what we want to do is we want to cycle Shepherd Monitor. Grab a Swamp. Get another land, not too bad. And then push the Florahedron here. There's no point attacking. I'd rather block the Visionary than attack for 1 and take 2. We do technically have a 6/5 now that we can reanimate, but I would love something much better than that. Glowspore Shaman. If I was to play this, I could still Blood for Bones. So let's try that out. Probably not going to put any lands on top if I don't mill the cards I need. Oof. I think, on that note, we will swing for 1. And then I'm just gonna Blood for Bones my Stitcher Supplier. We get the trigger from it first, so I really need this to hit a really big creature. Choop. Big 8-mana Space Godzilla, that kind of works. And then I can put a Chupacabra in my hand. Yeah. So now if they play a big stompy creature, which seems to be the only thing they want to do, my entire turn is swing for 8 Death Touch, maybe pre-combat Choop, so they have nothing good to go with, and I can repeat that several times. I think I've even got a third Chupacabra for Unburial Rites, so this represents a Chupa as well. So I've got 3 creatures to kill, and then I think even I'm milling along the way with a Skull Prophet, so I could even find myself in locating a 11/11 Trampler, which would be fine. These are only 8/8, so yeah, I'm just kind of gonna run my opponent over there with their Rampy deck that went nowhere. I think their big plan was to get to Beanstalk Giants, and hope that's good enough. It's the impression I got at the very least, but who knows? Alright, we're in on the play as well, which is very nice. And we're going to keep this hand. It's got an early Space Godzilla. If we can keep our Shamans alive. We might even get an early something else as well, if our Shamans mill it over. They are quite nice, because they give us our land drops for the turn. And we're just going to go straight for it, I think, with a Glowspore Shaman. Against a blue deck, I'm a little scared of counter spells quite a lot of the time. Maybe auras as well. I don't think we could beat Boggle's lists. Yep, Sensor's very scary. No doubt whatsoever there. I think because we've got 2 lands already, we're just going to decline that. I think I'd like to draw bigger and better cards. Ruin Crab. Alright, so it's mill. They could find themselves in a very bad situation if they are not careful. If I was to cycle into a land here and then find an Unburial Rites, for example, then that would be a big oops. But we'll have to see. We've now got a 3/1 Death Toucher. Your opponent's going to crack their Ruin Crab. Probably wouldn't do that unless... Oh, there's a Blood for Bones. I thought it was an Unburial Rites for a moment. They probably wouldn't do that unless they had no other Ruin Crabs in their hands. We know that much about it. It may also be a Drown in the Lock as well to prevent me from reanimating things. Another Blood for Bones. Not hitting the right ones, unfortunately. There's a Blood Chief's Thirst. That's pretty good. So we're going to go Blossoming Sands. We are going to try and attempt to kill Ruin Crab. And they'll probably crack Evolving Wilds or counter in response here. One, other, or both. And then sadly, the way our mana's situated itself, we only have 1 Plains in the deck, but we seem to have prevented ourselves from playing a second Glowspore Shaman, unfortunately. We do have a Blossoming Defense, though. And Glowspore Shaman's not the worst threat in the world, all things considered. Cycles a Sandbar. So they're halfway through my deck at the moment, which is very impressive. It's just what a Ruin Crab that's left untouched will do most of the time. And yeah, they can counter a 17 converted mana cost or less card with a Drown in the Lock right now, so I shouldn't really expect anything good from my deck. I mean, I don't even need to cycle the Sheffit Monitor. I'd much rather just like hard cast it at this point. Question is, there's a Sheffit Monitor in there, there's a Space Godzilla in there, and a Chupacabra. I kind of want to leave open Blossoming Defense at all times. And as much as I don't really want to mill myself, I think getting another 3/1 out there is quite good. I think I just saw, yeah, I've got an Unburial Rites. I'm not going to put a land on top. Actually, yeah, I might as well. It basically puts a card back in my deck. So let's get another Swamp. It's a reverse mill. We should also play around Censor. They have cycled 2 of them, so they're a little less likely to occur, but let's fight over this opponent. I don't mind. So, they still have Drown in the Lock as a removal for Space Godzilla. Or Void Beckoner. This is where they wonder whether or not they should Drown in the Lock, I'm pretty sure. Based off of the follow-up that they know we have, which is Unburial Rites, an 8/8 death-touching creature. Yep, there's a Drown in the Lock. Alright. So that's pretty reasonable for us. There is obviously an argument for keeping the Blossoming Defense to protect our big creature, but the likelihood is that the reason why we'd have to worry about what our opponent has is because it's a counterspell, and, you know, I don't think we're really over that hurdle just yet. So they're going to mill over our land, which means we can't play around Censor if we wanted to play a Sheffit Monitor next turn. Luckily, though, we just want to play an 11/11 Trampler and hope that gets us there, really. So Jungle Hollow means that I can play around Censor with my Bond of Revival as well. Yeah, I'm just going to go get Space Godzilla. There's a Drown in the Lock. Hit you for 3. I should imagine they're running out of options real quick. Into the story. Never mind. Oh, that card's a thing. 26 cards. So if we can resolve Bond of Revival and then swing in with our creature, we win. They only have Fatal Push mana right now. And Fatal Push won't do it. So I think we win. Bond of Revival. 11/11 Trampling Haste. Fatal Push only gets up to 4 CMC. We're currently throwing a 9-drop into play. Even if they had... I think for 1 mana, the only thing they can do is gain, like, 2 life. Cling to Dust in response. Are you kidding me? Wow. Okay. Well, that's a thing. Cling to Dust in response. What's that even playing around? What deck other than this piece of jank is that actually doing anything against? I genuinely want to know. Well, it works. So that's what I can say about that. Is it works. I mean, do we play Sheffit Monitor? Or do we just go for Unburial Rites? Our opponent's got Cling to Dust, so anything we try to target with Unburial Rites just gets eaten. I guess we'll just play Sheffit Monitor then. I just can't play around Censor, but we've seen 2 already, so having the 3rd would just be extremely unlucky. Didn't say please, sure. It's just hard removal at that point. Fatal Push for the Shaman. Cling to Dust. I can't get over it. I really can't. What deck needs Cling to Dust? Draw 4, mill 8. How many cards we got left? Ah, that's game. Yeah. We don't have any bonds, so we can't actually attack our opponent. Cling to Dust. Next game. Alright, on the play, this is a very, very slow and dirtly hand. Is it a slow and dirtly keepable hand, though? I don't know. I honestly don't. I think we got a lot of good top decks. Most of our big creatures are just nice to cycle and redraw anyway. We'll give it a shot. I'm not too excited about it, but being on the play as well is a big factor. That means we can get our tap land down so we can hold open this Fatal Push if it's something like Mono Red, for example. Double black means that Chupacabra is a realistic possibility now. Chandra's Piling definitely wants to die. That thing can get exceptionally bulky. So this is going to come down to how aggressive our opponent ends up being, plus how aggressive we can be. And I think a turn 4 8/8 Death Toucher is pretty aggressive in my eyes, especially when we're on 22 after resolving it. Chandra's Spitfire. So our opponent is playing Cavalcade. Part of me wants to just kill Spitfire, because it represents a lot of damage. Yeah, I probably should. So the Piling can attack and get pumped, and the more non-combat damage that gets dealt, the more these guys get pumped up as well. So if our opponent was to play Cavalcade this turn, Chandra's Spitfire would actually be swinging in for 4 just on its own. Opponent plays a Tybalt and a Scorch Spitter. Okay. So this is a cycle of 2. I've already played my land this turn, so I can't do anything after cycling, making Ravenous Chupacabra a Trampler, for example. I don't really want our opponent getting another counter necessarily. I think I'm just going to Unburial Rites my 8/8. I'll offer the trade here. So this gives us a mill. They trade both our creatures off, but that means the Cavalcade in their hands kinda dead. And I can cycle the Godzilla to give Trample to Space Godzilla. Raid Bombardment. Ooh. Alright, so I'm gonna kill their token, controlling their board, making cards like this dead. Tybalt's done his job. We don't really gain life, I don't think, outside of our land drops, so I don't care. Yeah, we're just gonna send it at our opponent. I think I might just cycle anyway. Not for any reason other than a redraw, and I'm gonna do it anyway. And it just gives me the opportunity to draw some follow-up play like a Skull Prophet. Which is... yeah, it's okay. Light up the stage. Dead card. Land drop. Yeah, our opponent did not take the hand that beats ours. We'll say that much. Okay. Seems good. So we swing for 11. Our opponent probably removes Skull Prophet. If they do that, then we're presenting lethal next turn anyway. We could even Blood for Bones pre-combat to just change the Skull Prophet into an 11/11. We're at 21. It doesn't matter what we do at this point. We could be as dirtily and incorrect as we want. We could show off. At the end of the day, we had the removal for their hand, so it's pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, we're in, and we're up against a grass-type Pokemon. So, does this beat a grass-type Pokemon deck? Too many tap lands. That scares me. The hand itself's not that bad, though, in all honesty. But I don't think you can keep it. I think you got to try and do something better. This is a little bit better. So I'm just going to put the Evolving Wild to the bottom here. We're going to go with a Swamp for the Supplier and then start dropping down the tap lands at that point, I think. So we do have our big creature already set in stone, which is nice. Unburial Rites is the card I wanted to mill over while we were doing all of this, but it is what it is. And our opponent's on a Thornwood Falls deck, which makes me think maybe blue-white Boggles. Unburial Rites is not too bad. Next turn we're going to be going with Godzilla tap land, so all we need to do is untap land. It's Merfolk. Alright. So we only have to play around Spell Pierce. Untap land is what we needed, so that we've got a turn 4 11/11. And if they can't prevent us from playing that, then they're in big trouble. Fatal Push is not too bad, but not all that important either. Just gonna swing for 1. I'll block the Silvergill Adept if they don't have a Lord here. They probably do, but they may want to favour the cards they've revealed first. That was kind of their idea when they dropped down the Adept, I imagine. So they're 2/1 card attack through now. And then we go... You played a tap land, so we punish it. Oops. Whoopsie doodle. And then swing for 2. And now we find out if our opponent can beat an 11/11. They can't. Alright. Okay. After that, assuming they could remove the Godzilla, it would have to be bounce spell related, most likely. So we cycle Fatal Push a Lord, maybe, if they have just like 1 mana unsummons. So we Fatal Push something, turn after that, we're cracking our Evolving Wilds, and then we can Unburial Rights it back. If they Spell Pierce, then we've got 4 mana Unburial Rights after that to bring it back, plus the 2 mana to pay for the second Spell Pierce. I think we've got this one in the bag very easily, and I think our opponent knows it. Alright, triple tap land, Mole. This is honestly fine. I don't mind this one. I think I will get rid of... I want to say Glowspore Shaman. We're going to cycle the Space Godzilla. I like the idea of having removal on turn 4, should I need it. And let's go with... Blossoming Sands. Untap White Source when I've got my green and black on turn 2 anyway means that Unburial Rights is pretty good. Nice to rest, bruh. Now I actually wonder whether or not I should go for a Skull Prophet. I guess it doesn't really change much as far as the math's concerned. I'd rather just mill and fill the graveyard with a potential target. And we're going to decline. We're going to jungle Hollow Skull Prophet. Burglarat, thanks. Shepherd Monitor. Alright. Don't really want to trade off with a Burglarat. Yeah, I'd rather pass. If this ends up being like the rat deck, then I would like to... Well, now I can actually go with a Chupacabra, and this is kind of why I didn't want to just throw it away. I would like to kill the... I can't remember the name anymore. I don't see them anymore. The one that you can have as many as you want in your deck. Malakia Rebirth. Wow. I'll get rid of Shepherd Monitor, I think. Get him for 3. That was a spicy little play from our opponent. Fatal Push, sure. So it's mono black control, I guess you could call it that. And they've got themselves a Death Toucher. But so do I, and they don't even know it. I wish it was more of a Trampler, but I guess it doesn't really matter either way. I'm just going to offer this up. See where they want to go. I'm happy with that. Let's play a Skull Prophet. Gives me 4 mana for a milled over and Burial Rights. Duress. Nice. Not sure why they're running those in this format. There's not too much reason for it. Evolving Wilds. I'm going to cycle my Space Godzilla. Fatal Push the Foul Maya Knight, I might as well. They don't seem to be presenting anything powerful. And now I'm going to thin my deck And potentially get myself a 5-mana play of Unburial Rites, Bond of Revival, Blood for Bones. Any of those would be nice. Grab some more black, I guess. Or I could just draw a land. It's also a possibility. My graveyard essentially has everything I already need in it. So I'm not going to be milling with Skull Prophet. I don't think I'm even going to be blocking because I need Blood for Bones targets. Another Bone Picker. They are problematic, for sure. So, I mean, maybe if a creature died last turn, maybe the correct target is actually Chupacabra, because the Bone Pickers are a problem, but maybe I'll go with a 8/8 now. Offer a trade. And then if they attack him with one Bone Picker or both, and then a Death Touch blocker, I can Unburial Rites a Chupacabra and swing through. Yeah, so that's their plan. Is to try to block. Blossoming Defense is really good, because this means that they can't have removal in response to stop taking 8. So I'm going to Chup their Bone Picker. They're going to Village Rites. It's pretty good. Of all the top decks, that would be the one. Hit him for 8. Okay. Is it possible that I win next turn? Yes. Depends on their attack and that final card in hand, of course. And now it depends on my top deck. The answer is no. Target opponent discards a card. Alright, so I'll just leave the swamp in my hand. I'm not trading a Bone Picker with a Space Godzilla here. It's just not worth it. I'll just ping them for 2. This means if I get green Godzilla, I can cycle to give trample, and that's 7 points over 1 blocker. And I have Blossoming Defense to keep Space Godzilla around to give me that extra little bit of protection. Third Duress would be unfortunate. It would be the only time this game it's actually mattered. So our opponent might not even feel like throwing it away. Call of the Death Dweller. That one's a problem. Yeah, well, might as well fire it off now. If that's a sorcery speed Blood Chief's Thirst, then I stop them from being able to use it at least. Yeah, I just need Titanoth Rex. Green Godzilla. Alright. Get rid of Burglar Rat. This means I can swing through. Unless that last card is removal, it's a forced block on Space Godzilla and 2 damage at them. I think it's worth taking that chance. Alright, we know that last card is not removal. Or it's a Blood Chief's Thirst. It could still be a Blood Chief's Thirst. Since we did play around it and prevent it from being useful. Well, this is a 4-drop. So I'm just going to have to get in for 2 here. I do enjoy seeing that. That is honestly fine. Because it's a 4-drop that I can Fatal Push when it returns. It's cost them 2 life to bring it back as well. So I just kill it. Unless they've got another Malakia Rebirth, which they don't. Now they're looking at lethal if they don't have a blocker. Or removal. And they have neither. Alright. That was a pretty fun one. I liked that one. Hopefully you guys did too. It was a lot of back and forth there. For sure. It says a lot when nearly every single creature in their deck is a death-touching creature, and our game plan is to have one very large boy. The fact that we managed to beat that, I think, says a lot about the resiliency of this deck. There's definitely a lot of bad things about it, and it has a lot of bad matchups against pretty popular decks, but it's still a lot of fun, and I think it's got some functioning legs to it. It could definitely do a thing. But yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's video. This is probably going to be the last Historic Artisan video I have in my backlog. So if you do enjoy it and you want to see more of it the next time Historic Artisan comes around, then make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, let me know down in the comment section below what you want me to play next time it comes around, and I'll see if I can build up a deck for that. And yeah, without further ado, gonna end it off here. Hopefully you guys have a good night, and take care.